Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Clone Zone, the show where we talk about the Bad Batch, and we're talking about episode 10 today, Common Ground. Our guest today, you might know him from the work that he's produced for Wired, like that time that we were on Wired and got to answer a bunch of Star Wars questions. He asked us all those questions. Or you might know him from the Banthaverse as Han Solo, and Solo 2 as written by an artificial intelligence. But most importantly, he's our friend. Adam Lance Garcia, welcome to the show.
That was the best intro, especially that last part. The friend is the most important thing. Friends are
not
important.
Patrick Willems, I will admit it.
Called out. Oh,
right from the top. Oh,
happy to admit it. So, hey, everyone in the chat, we're going to talk about this episode for a little bit amongst ourselves, 20, 30 minutes. We'll see how much. I have some questions for us to talk about, and then we'll get to super chats and fan questions. So if you want to get your question in the queue, go ahead and leave us a super chat. But I want to start the way I always start, by asking our guest, how have you been enjoying the series? Has it been meeting or beating your expectations, or have you been disappointed in it? What have you been feeling about the Bad Batch?
It's fine. It's been fine. It's fine. It's a fine series.
That's basically what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, it's been fine. I've enjoyed it overall. It's very light, fluffy Star Wars. It's not necessarily scratching a certain itch that I'm looking to get scratched, but it's fine. It's fine. I can talk more about that in depth as we go along, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, I honestly do like that reaction, because I feel like that is my reaction to most Star Wars things. Like, we're known as being just the very positive Star Wars channel, and it's like mostly we're just willing to give anything a chance. And like occasionally something like Fallen Order will come along where I'm like, this is precious to me and I'll hold on to it. But most everything Star Wars, I watch it and I'm like, yeah, that was fine. Yeah. But I will say that Bad Batch has been beating my expectations. I was not expecting to like it as much as I am.
Yeah, for like an animated show, it's been keeping my attention better than I thought it would.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most consistent, like out of the gate of the animated series. I think of, Clone Wars took a little while to find its feet. Rebels is a series that I know has a large fan base that I personally never really connected to. Mm-hmm. And Resistance, I actually haven't really. I watched 2 episodes and I just haven't finished it yet. Bad Batch, I think from the get-go is more consistent. I just wanted something more, at least from the premiere. I felt like I was being offered something more than I've gotten since then.
Well, I know that like some of your tweets have been like the cameo of the week thing, which I do think is a valid criticism of the show. Yeah. I think it's been handled well. But watching this episode, I was like, no cameo of the week. This is perfect.
But that's the thing. Like, I was really excited about that as well. I was like, oh, wow, it's like it's a standalone episode with new characters. And then I did some looking at, I'm like, oh, but this planet has been established before. It's a Clone Wars planet. So it was like, oh, okay. So for someone who's watched the Clone Wars, it's like, oh, we're revisiting a place we've already visited before. So it wasn't necessarily a cameo in a person, but it was a planet cameo. And it was sort of like, I know I'm being nitpicky, but at the same time, it's like, it didn't feel like I was so excited to see like, oh, this is a new planet. I've never seen this before. It just wasn't like, I'm like, oh, okay, we've already visited here before. So yeah. And not for a long time. I know that's right, Calinstagram. It's not for a long time, and I admit that, but still.
Yeah, I didn't even remember this planet. To be honest, I was like, Raxus. What? Like that name sounds familiar, and then I had to get Alex to tell me where it was from. But yeah, it's a planet that we already know. I just have been enjoying seeing what different planets look like with the Imperial occupation there. It's like we've seen planets that super don't like it and planets that are super into it. And this one's kind of like,
I see. Yeah. I thought that, okay, if we count Raxus as the cameo of the week, and I think that they've been doing each cameo very well. Yeah. That everyone has made sense that they brought in. I love that they went to Raxus because, yes, what Molly just said, we're seeing how the Imperials treat a separatist planet and what they're doing and how the Separatists are feeling about it. And not only that, but it's this place where the Bad Batch are going to be challenged to now team up with an annoying droid, who I like the droid. I liked GS8, but they have to team up with a droid that they find annoying, and they have to rescue a senator from the Separatists who they've been fighting against for 3 years, and they have to do it in the capital of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. And it's also where Ahsoka learned that there are good people on both sides, and they get to go through that same journey. So I thought that including Raxus was fantastic.
And to Molly's point, though, it is really like the thing that I do agree with. What is cool is seeing how certain planets across different eras. That's something I kind of wish we saw more of, like in the sequel trilogy. Like I would have loved to have seen Naboo, like again after so long. I think that so there is that appeal to it. And that's the one thing I do enjoy about the series overall is this idea that you get to see this transition period. We didn't really get to see that in Rebels or even Solo or Rogue One during this era of like changing of the guard from the Republic to the Empire. And that is one of my favorite aspects of the series overall.
Yeah. Alex, you brought up GS8. I loved her so much in this episode. I looked up her voice because she sounded familiar.
I was going to ask if you did.
Sean Clifford, who played Claire. She's the sister in Fleabag. So
I've already seen people clamoring for a GS8 L337 team up. Get them a story together.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm down with that. I like that idea.
But like when we were talking about when we were doing our reaction, like, oh, who's the client? It's probably not the droid. It was the droid.
That's like we immediately, because I was in that kind of headspace of like, all right, who's the character poster going to be this week? And so I thought it was Bail Organa. That was my guess, that he's already teaming up with other senators, even though they're enemies, to help out. But the droid just walks out like, hello, I'm your client. Like, okay, well, wrong again.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's funny. It's like I don't, with this episode specifically, like I do wish there was more episodes like this, if that makes sense. In that I do wish there was more of seeing the team on these adventures, learning, like seeing, like showing their strong suits, showing what Wrecker can do, showing what Echo can do, and highlighting their strengths to sort of allow them to sort of explore this universe. And I don't think this is the first time I feel like we got something that's like, oh, this is just about them. Mm-hmm. And so the cameo criticism that I have is like, it's sort of like the moment Luke Skywalker shows up in The Mandalorian, the show becomes about Luke Skywalker. The moment Ahsoka shows up, it becomes sort of about Ahsoka. With all these other cameos, it's like it becomes about that character, because we're all like, oh, it's Rex, he's back, and it kind of draws our focus. And I enjoyed getting to know the Batch a little bit better in a way that we really haven't done since the premiere, because everything else has been about the Rancor, the Rex, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think that's a fair criticism, because I mean, I said a lot of the same things about The Mandalorian. More in season one, I was like, I don't want too many cameos in season one, because I don't want to overshadow Din. I want to get to know him. And by season two, I was like, okay, yeah, Cobb Vanth, you nailed it. Bo-Katan, couldn't wait to see her. So yeah,
totally. And to that point, I think that's the thing that, even though I think season two of The Mandalorian is stronger than season one overall, I think I'm so grateful that we had an entire season of Din, getting to know his journey, getting to know Grogu and that relationship. So that way, when we did have those cameos, they sort of fed into his journey as a character and his journey to get Grogu where he needed to get. And also, I think there was like the Mandalorian had the added benefit of seeing a lot of these characters in live action for the first time. Cobb Vanth went from being on in print to being played by Timothy Oliphant, everyone's daddy, and then basically we have Ahsoka coming into live action for the first time. So there was this sort of
there's a novelty about it.
Exactly. And seeing Luke at his height, during a period of time that a lot of us who grew up reading Legends, like, oh, this is where we remember him, and seeing him. And now that we have that sort of arc of him at his height and then him at his lowest point and his redemption, there's that appeal to that. Whereas this is like, oh, we're getting characters that we've seen in animation again. We're seeing characters that we've seen before in animation. Like we're seeing them again just a couple of years later. But again, that's me. That's my taste. So
yeah, I mean, I think I'm just viewing it as like Clone Wars season 8. It's very much connected to the Clone Wars. So I'm like, yeah, of course Cad Bane shows up, and I'm thrilled to see him. And but I think you make a good point that maybe they could have spent a little more time developing the batch themselves, because like I feel like we really know Hunter, we really know Wrecker, but like this episode, I really loved at the start Echo just being like, I hate this, I don't want to do this, and then at the end I love his line delivery of like, live to fight another day, literally echoing one of his brothers, even though he wasn't there for that line. I assume he heard it somewhere else, but I liked that arc, but we could have gotten more of it. And I feel like Echo and Tech especially need some time, like give them an episode.
Yeah, because I think that Echo and Tech, it's beyond sort of what they look like and sound like. I don't necessarily know what they offer to the team that's different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Tech's kind of like the brains, and Echo, it has all the tools.
Tech is Wikipedia, and Echo is the hacker. I'm convinced that's just he's pulling up Wikipedia, or maybe Star Wars Explained on his little pad, and being like, "Oh yeah, it's this thing. I thought it was obvious." Yeah.
Well, Alex and Molly said,
"Come on, Dave." How would you rank this episode, Molly? Like compared to the previous ones, especially coming off of like 4 bangers, just nonstop awesome.
I don't know exactly where I would rank it. It would be towards the bottom, only because it just felt like kind of more of a side story. We got a lot of those kinds of episodes in the Clone Wars. The episode itself was gorgeous. Like the lighting, the textures, everything looked amazing on Raxus.
I like that.
Tech's a mobile hacker, interface hacker.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I would rank it a little lower. Not gonna say it's filler. It's just wasn't as much of a banger as what we've been getting. So I feel like we've been spoiled.
It's weird. Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was gonna say, like, I would have preferred if this episode came earlier, if that makes sense. It felt like I'm trying to think of a good example of it. The only example I have is from Doctor Who, so it's not relevant for this. But it felt like an episode that was written for earlier in the season that was shifted later.
I think you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
So it's like as my cat's agreeing with me in the background. That's right, Puck.
This actually would have been an interesting episode to have before they fully brought Omega on to the team, because she shows in this episode that she knows strategy. So I feel like maybe going forward they might involve her more in like their strategies going forward. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, it does feel like an episode where like maybe right when they started working with Sid, and because they still are doing that thing where they're sidelining Omega. And I think that in the context of this episode, it's because like Hunter feels bad that he let her get captured. And so he's like, nope, you gotta stay safe. We gotta keep you out of harm's way. So I think that's what he's going through, but it also feels like we've done this like 3 times. And every time you leave her behind, she has to come in and save your butts. So like, stop leaving her behind. And still, even though she wasn't on the same planet, she still found a way to save their butts and pay off all their debts.
Yeah, Hunter says like there's too much heat on them. Obviously he feels guilty. And I like that Wrecker says like that never stopped us before. So they're still learning how to be the Bad Batch plus a child.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do wonder that they gave us like that answer about what Omega's secret is. Why is she so valuable to the Kaminoans? And I'm still like, is there more though? Just I feel like they keep on teasing that, and just maybe she's just great at holochess, but
it's so interesting to that point. It's like I'm really relieved that the answer the cats are being fed that the answer to who she is was fairly straightforward. She was the female clone of Jango Fett. I thought anything more than that was an overcomplication. I do wonder, like, why don't they have Jango Fett's like genetic material on just in a jar somewhere? Like, why? And also, like, there is a, and again, like, this is nitpicky, so don't take it as like a major criticism, because when it comes to anything Star Wars, when it comes to anything storytelling, you have to have that suspension of disbelief. It's just sort of like, why do they need Omega specifically? It has to be something for a greater reason than what we've heard, because it doesn't necessarily make sense for it to be, we need this untampered, but it's still tampered because she's a female version of a male character, genetic material, so that way they can do what with her. Wouldn't you just have that sort of in a jar someplace on the side just in case? Yeah, I'm not sure the point I'm trying to make. I'm just rambling, so I'm just going to stop talking.
Well, I think the Kaminoans probably just don't have that much foresight. I mean, they did have some of Jango's DNA, but they do talk about in the Clone Wars that, like, we're running out. So, I mean, I don't know why they can't just make another pure genetic replication.
Right.
I don't know. Like, it's just one of those Star Wars things.
It's a hand wavy thing. Like, oh, we're running out. It's running low.
Yeah, it's one of those. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like, real fast, is like, when it comes to this, I always remember something my dad used to say, which is like, why are they doing it? Because it's in the script. That's all you got to remember. Yeah. It's just like, well, why? It's in the script. That's fine. Whatever.
I mean, we've made that joke about Tech. It's like, how does he know this? Because Dave Filoni told him.
Yeah, he needs to know this for the story to move forward. So
exactly.
That's why.
I liked this comment a lot. The fact that Omega, like, paid off the debts so quick. I just really liked that scene where Omega is negotiating, and she knows what Sid's game is, and she's like, 30%? No. Let's try 60. I was like, right on, Omega.
She's like, I mean, she's exactly like a kid her age. She's catching on quick.
She's adapting better than the Bad Batch are. I mean, they're set in their ways. Technically they're probably about the same age, but that's weird to think about. But they've been, like, conditioned to be soldiers, and they're stuck in those ways. And Omega's like, I can change. Like, I can live in this world. She's going to wind up teaching them.
Yeah, and I feel like that only made Sid like her more. The fact that she wanted to negotiate. I also like that we're continuing to get nicknames for the Bad Batch from Sid. We got Bandana, Goggles.
Was there a new one today?
/Tiny. I hadn't noticed Bandana yet.
Yeah, I didn't know someone either.
I can't remember. Goggles, I definitely recall. But I did like Sid's interactions with Omega, and even those two bar patrons that are always there, when they looked at her and, like, shook their heads at Sid. Like, how dare you talk to Omega that way?
I liked it as well. I also, one thing that I come to appreciate about, and I was thinking about this watching this episode, is the different sort of, I feel like growing up reading Legends and sort of, the West End game, they had this very sort of strict idea of what a species was like. That they're like, one species did this, one species was like this. One thing that I'm really appreciating about Bad Batch, also High Republic, and just in general, with what I'm seeing Disney do, or Lucasfilm do, is give a greater sense of diversity within each species. I would never expect a character like Sid 20 years ago. I never would have expected her to be Trandoshan. I'm blanking on the name. Yes, I win. Like, I never would have expected her to exist in Legends canon, but whereas now it's like, oh yeah, like I like to see these, it sounds silly, but like it's this diversity of species within other species.
Right. I mean, it's definitely like, as Star Wars fans, you tend to put species in a box. Where like Bib Fortuna is just the worst first impression of a Twi'lek ever.
Yes.
Like most of them are great. It's just Bib's the jerk.
I will say one thing I loved about his appearance in the Mandalorian season finale is like that he just gains so much weight. Like he takes over Jabba and he's just like just packing on the pounds. I thought that was such a clever choice. I was like, of course.
They kind of talked about that like that seat, that dais is like the one ring that corrupts you and like makes you a glutton for power and food and all that.
Really? Where did they say that?
They talked about that in the gallery, I think.
He became Robert Baratheon.
Oh, I have not watched the gallery. I fail as a fan. I apologize to all the fans out there right now.
It's only one episode. Yeah, you should check it out.
I know. I fell behind. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you.
I forgive you. I can't speak for chat. But,
speaking of Game of Thrones, I also looked up the voice who did the Senator Avi Singh, Alexander Siddig, who played Dr. Bashir in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Doran Martell in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
who compared to the books, he didn't get his due. In the books, I feel like he's a stronger character, but
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
The books, you have time to tell the story, like you have however many words you need to tell the story, whereas a TV show, you have 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm through all of my notes. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about before we dive into chat?
I wrote down just that it was a little weird that Hunter nearly brought up the good soldiers follow orders line with Omega. Well, he said something like, it's, you should follow orders, or something about her like staying behind. Yeah. And she goes like,
following orders shouldn't be a problem or something like that.
Yeah. And I was just like, they're still on that.
I hadn't even thought about that.
But
we watched the episode together. You're supposed to give me all of your good insights.
I have to have my own notes for this show.
Let's dive into chat. Lawrence Fletcher, thanks for the first question in Super Chat. Will they keep working with Sid now that they've paid off their debt? I kind of think so. I kind of think they will.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll have better. Now Omega can be their negotiator. And they'll have her be the business side of things.
I do hope they do, because I think that's something I really liked about this series from the get-go, is this idea of these soldiers of fortune take on the series. We haven't really seen that. Like with Rebels, you have these heroes that are motivated to overthrow the Empire. Resistance, it's the same. They're fighting the First Order, where they are characters without purpose anymore. Everything they were built for is gone. So I would like to see that more soldier of fortune trying to find who they are. I mean, look, like, Hunter is stylized after Rambo. I mean, there's no question about this. So, if they're going to go down that road, like, travel down it, like, just see where you can explore. I think there's a lot more interesting stories to be told with a soldier of fortune characters right now.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because we did catch this. They were using the stun on everybody.
I know so too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And you brought up
Rex,
Alex. Something about Rex.
Yeah. Well, actually, I saw this was after I did my review and everything, but Jennifer Corbett from the show talked about how even early on in the season, like with Cut and Run, when Hunter he goes for non-lethal. Like he was using live rounds, but he is attempting to not kill his brothers or the Reg. I just thought he was mowing them down, but I still think that at this point, especially after Wrecker and knowing for sure, like, we have no control over this. These chips take over, and that's it. They know that their brothers don't want to kill them. Deep down. So yeah, I like that they're using stun shots now.
I do want to point out Doomslayer 420's comments. Sylvester Stallone. I saw that, and I'm proud of you, Doomslayer 420. That was a good one.
Nice.
Applause.
What do you guys think the end game is for the Bad Batch, or maybe not the end game, but just for this season or down the line? Do you think that the Bad Batch will join something like the Rebel Alliance, or like a cell, some sort of resistance against the Empire, or are they going to stay mercenaries and stay like this little family unit just trying to survive on their own?
I mean, we've been hoping for a clone uprising.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I think that would be really cool, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I just want them to be happy.
Right. That's like, I'm hopeful. Like, I want to see the clone uprising, but I'm also like, that can only end bad. So
yeah. Well, there's a reason why the clones are all gone.
And the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
And the Kaminoans.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I want there to be a happy ending because I like happy endings, but also I feel like just by the nature of when this series is taking place, I wouldn't be surprised if really the only one left is Omega, and it's one of those characters that like they can revisit at another time. It's a sad and a tragic ending, but like I think I wouldn't be surprised if the series finale is like one after another of the Bad Batch losing their lives and protecting Omega, and Omega's left alone to sort of like find her way in the galaxy. But again, that also goes to my own like as Alex and Molly know, I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. I'm very upbeat, but when my writing is very dark, so that's just my own writing sort of head. Like, it needs to be as dark as possible, because why not? Whereas they probably won't go that dark in reality. To be honest, they won't go that dark.
I blame your friendship with Kevin Scott. He's
impacting
you in negative ways.
I'm 40% way through that novel. I cannot wait. I'm
still
so
no spoilers, but he's a monster.
Yeah. But the nicest guy in the freaking world.
Just real quick before we get too far off of this, and we were just talking about it, but Batman is my dad. Thank you for the super chat. And we were just talking about why that shift seems to have happened, where they're like, all right, we're gonna stun, and that's it. No more live rounds against regs. But yeah, I think that it's down to just more knowledge of the chips, more understanding of what's going on, and to stick with what I consider to be like the theme of this series is, okay, we're going to adapt to that, and we're not going to kill our reg brothers. Mm-hmm. They don't deserve it. We're going to do our best to preserve that life, even though they're trying to kill us as hard as they can.
Yeah.
Rick
Villeneuve. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I wanted
to. Do we want to move on, or do?
Yeah.
Okay. Rick Villanueva, thanks for the super chat. Hey, gang, who wins at Dedrick, Omega or Chewie? Ooh.
That's a good one.
Do you let the Wookiee win, or do you let the girl win?
I want to, because the next question is so related. AAA Battery, thank you for the super chat and question. Does Dedrick have any actual rules? Because I believe that it does, but like, come on, Omega. Like, what was Omega doing? Yeah. Every piece that she used got to get 2 hits. Like, that felt
both of us
OP.
On our reaction, we were both like, how does this game work? But
like, I figured it was, Holochess. It's chess-like, and each piece can probably do something different.
Do we want to answer that question?
Have you opened that?
I haven't opened it because I've had no one to play with because of a pandemic that happened. So we can find out right now.
Live unboxing.
I would not make you open that, but I am so curious to see if there are any pieces that allow you to like double attack, because Omega got to do it twice.
You did, yeah. I don't know. I have to. I want to open it up because I do want to play it eventually, but I've had like no friends during the pandemic, and it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe I'm kind of curious. I'll get a knife in a second, but go on.
I mean, I have no answer. Like, yes, Dedrick must have rules, but it's not for our feeble human minds to understand, because I was just like, what is she doing? She just gets to walk in and like kill everything.
You have to understand all those buttons. What do the buttons do? They're all different colors. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to think that Chewbacca would win only because he's got like 190 years on her.
I really like that question. Well, let's see. At this point in time, right now, Omega beats Chewbacca because he's never played Holochess. But I assume
wait, how do we know that?
Because in Solo he seems,
is that the first time he plays,
confused and angry about the game.
Right.
In the Rise of Skywalker, it's like he gets this little mini Holochess arc, so that now he's an expert by episode 9. Which I love that too. That was a great connection between Rise of Skywalker and Solo. But
I do want to apologize for asking. I do want to apologize to you, Alex, and this is also my like asking has the folks at Star Wars Experience like, how do you know that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's your job.
Because we've watched those movies constantly. I like this idea that Chewie with Letterman maybe. I mean,
she seems good enough to be able to win on her own.
I feel like he would be like, finally, a worthy opponent.
Yeah, this would be like season finale of Queen's Gambit. Good. I want to see that game.
All right, where's Brian Ward?
The idea of Omega like going through that entire journey, like just replacing her character with Omega. And that's Queen's Gambit, and she has to face off against Chewbacca through.
God, I hope that's season 2 of this show. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They enter into the Holochess tournament, the galactic tournament. Forget keeping a low profile. We're going in. We're gonna win it all.
It's like searching for Bobby Fischer, but it's just it's searching for.
And Petty Officer Thanison is there. That's a deep cut, stupid joke.
I'm going to say that at their height, Omega now, because that's the best we've seen her at, and Chewie in the Rise of Skywalker, I think Chewie wins because Omega right now hasn't been tested against like it's just the people on Ord Mantell. Like, are there Holochess masters there? Maybe, but I think she has the potential to beat Chewie. But
anyone coming into this live stream right now is going to be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm even more tempted to open this up to be like, all right, so rule number 3 is you have to move your certain figure this way, counterclockwise, according to the sun on that planet during that day.
You're going to read a rule that we're going to find out that Omega did something illegal, but Sid didn't care because they were just making money. Making money.
It's gonna be like when Leslie is reading the rules to Blackjack to Ron and Parks and Rec.
Bakey, thank you for the super chat. I want more GS8. She was my favorite part of the episode. I really loved that she got to set up. Molly, you pointed out I actually missed it, and to my great shame, the Last Crusade joke.
Oh, this belongs in a museum.
I think you said, "Thank God it's a fake," because in Last Crusade, Sean Connery hits Indiana Jones with a vase, and
it's a fake.
Yeah,
yep. I actually saw that there was a screening of it last week. That movie holds up so well. It is insane how good that movie is.
I still haven't. I just got the 4Ks, but I also just watched the Blu-rays like a month ago, so I just haven't sat down to watch them all again.
Speaking of which, I am reading the Indiana Jones books, and I know I've mentioned this to you, but once I'm done with them, I'm sending them your way. They're weird.
I still have them. Like Adam was kind enough to send me all of his old Indiana Jones novels that I've never read. So I need to find some time to read some Indiana Jones, and I'll do some more Indie Explained videos. But
I'm really curious to think what you're like. I just finished one called the Sky Pirates. Like, I'm really curious to see what you think about it when you get to that, because it's the one that's after that first 6, so it's the 7th book. It's weird. It's like it's Indiana Jones in name only.
Right.
So I'm really curious. I would love to see Indiana Jones Explains of you just being constantly confused by these books. Like, if we think Legends was weird, like these books are just like out there. It's like the 6th book is like a treatise on like why the author thinks that the world is hollow. It's anyway.
I really want to check them out, especially as we get closer to Indy 5.
Yeah. We lost Molly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, really okay, nice... we went way off topic, but yeah, GS8
way off
topic. GS8 was great. I thought she was super fun.
One thing that I think is always, I was thinking about this when I was watching this episode, how much an entire not only just animation, but like how much of droids are defined because Anthony Daniels had to shuffle in a really weird costume. Like, I think it's insane. Like, basically there's an entire franchise has built a certain kind of droids that operate in a certain kind of way because they built a costume that was really ill-fitting and he couldn't move that much. So that's why. So they have an entire animation walking cycle for protocol droids based on Anthony Daniels being unable to move.
And he even trains people like other droids how to move. I remember him talking about training the people in The Last Jedi who were like waiter droids. It's like, here's how you do it. It's like, and I imagine their droid suits are better fitting at this point, but they still have to act that certain way.
Absolutely. I was fascinated with apparently like there was like an entire rubber suit that he actually got to wear. English is hard. Like apparently with The Rise of Skywalker, he had like a bikini kind, so that way he can like walk up the mountainside or the hillside, and then they sort of like CGI'd in his legs, which I thought was cool. Hilarious. Yeah.
I just want to tell Dan 23 to stop watching us and go watch Indiana Jones.
Turn this off.
This is important. Start with Raiders of the Lost Ark, then continue to the Temple of Doom, and then Last Crusade. If you so choose, you can watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I have a very big soft spot for that film. That's all personal. That's my choice, and that's my journey. But those 3, those are masterclasses in cinema, in filmmaking, and just really great stories.
See, I tend to
turn this off.
Turn this off. I have the Star Trek philosophy. I don't love Temple of Doom, and like Crystal Skulls. It's there. So like I'm very much just like in Star Trek it's the even ones that are great. But I believe that Indiana Jones, all the odd ones are great, and I choose to believe that because Indy 5 is coming and it'll be just as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. Guaranteed.
Not if Harrison Ford keeps hurting himself.
He'll be fine.
Look,
it's not a Harrison Ford movie if he doesn't hurt himself on set.
And honestly, if I was in that good shape at 78, I'm practicing stunt choreography, I would be okay with hurting myself during stunt choreography at 78. So I am curious about it. I do have a sort of philosophy that Raiders, Crusade, and Crystal Skull do make a decent trilogy. But Crystal Skull is a unique beast, and not everyone's going to love it. And again, I like it because I used to read about ancient aliens. I like it because my dad and I were about the same age as Mutt and Indy. So soft spot right here.
Yeah.
But if it's not for everybody, it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I thought it was a fun time. It's not as good as the other, even the other 3, but I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. By the way, if anyone can hear the yard work happening, it's been raining today, and all of our neighbors decided they were going to do yard work. So you're going to get a lawnmower noise here.
Alex
you're going to get it in the Q&A, and you're going to get it in the news roundup that we shot today.
Alex is being very kind. It's actually me. I just like to go. between scenes. So it's really I appreciate it, Alex, but don't cover for me.
I keep asking you to stop, but just won't. I've been in the chat like, Adam, please.
Please stop. But I can't stop it.
Dylan Compton, thank you for our next question. Anyone catch how Hunter said, "I always thought we'd find our way to Raxus, but not like this," implying he thought it would be an assassination mission. Yeah, I did, and I thought that was a good line. Yeah,
assassination mission.
If not an assassination, but I mean that's kind of their job was special missions.
Yeah.
But if not that, it's just like hey, we conquered the capital and we're all putting up the Republic flag here.
Right. Yeah. Like they're all kind of shocked at first that they're doing this for a separatist person. So I think that's probably what he meant by not like this. But
yeah, I just sorry everybody. If you don't bring up Indiana Jones, if you don't want me to talk about Indiana Jones, that's what
happens if I'm not here to get them back on track.
I know Molly dipped out.
My
for
headphones
2 seconds
go out, and
we were like,
we become Indiana Jones explained.
Yeah. But yeah, like I just really love the Raxus connection and what it means on so many levels. That they thought they'd go there someday, but not to literally help the Separatists.
And I to hammer home that point, and I'm sorry for stepping on your toes there, but like I think that's the thing that I'm enjoying the most about a lot of the new canon is that I think they're doing a really good job of sort of showing these places that we're familiar with and showing how much they changed over the course of centuries, even or decades or moments. And that's like, again, that's my favorite thing about the Bad Batch. That's my favorite thing about the High Republic. It's my favorite thing about even to a degree the sequel trilogy. And what I love about the prequels is like, oh, you get to see like how it was here. And now like, look what's happened like since then. Like I would love to see Corellia during the High Republic where everything's like neat and clean and nice. Or the bad, like I would love to see Coruscant more during Bad Batch. Like that quick transfer over. What is that like when it went from being the home of the Republic to the Imperial Center?
Totally
Alex,
agree.
Did you pull up that image? Because I was about to ask
I already have it uploaded.
Okay.
Drace90 alerted us to the fact that they have created something already that was incredibly fast. But there it is.
Face.
It exists.
Oh my god!
Just so
Yay!
happy. Well done.
I'm so
Drace.
glad I was so glad that was covering me because I almost spit up my beer.
Sorry, I should have warned you.
That was amazing.
That's very good.
That was very good. Oh, wait, there's one here there's a comment here that I'm like, and other guy. I'm like, yes, I am other guy. Hi. That's actually what it says on my business card. It says Adam Lance Garcia, the other guy.
Ivan Chimeris, thank you for the super chat and question. Not gonna lie, the first thing I do after finishing a Bad Batch episode is watch your breakdown. Also, how dare you not know every little detail? It's too much. It's too much. I try my best, but
Alex, you're embarrassing us.
Yes, Alex, Jesus Christ.
If I don't know something, Molly, it's your job to fill in the gaps. So this is
Is
on both
it?
of us.
I'm pretty sure it's my job to be funny and look nice.
That's both our jobs. I'm not good at either, but I do my best. But thank you for watching our breakdowns. I appreciate that.
I will say the Saturday, is it Sunday or Saturday Q&As are the most relaxing things one can watch because it's like, I have a question about Star Wars and you're like soothing voices, Alex and Maya, like, yeah, this is what I think is going on. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's Saturday. Tomorrow is a little bit hectic because of all of the yard work happening, and Hilo has been stuck inside because of rain today, so he's just been in a mood.
What if tomorrow's Q&A was just, okay, we're gonna talk about the Slave One, go, and like we just spent an hour yelling.
The least calm thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's like Slave One. What a non-controversy that is.
I already went off on that on our Lego stream, so
I'll leave it at that then.
That's the place to do it.
Mhm.
And
I love the idea. I just love the idea because like Alex, you and Molly are like the most nicest, calmest people I know, and there's a reason. And I apologize for all the text messages I send you constantly. But I love this idea that like you're really calm and collected throughout 99% of your life, and then there's a Lego stream like, whoa. F this, and like you're just throwing Legos around. Why would they do this? You're all idiots, and like throwing beer bottles. It's all
okay. Well, my version of going off is still pretty reserved, and it's just kind of more like exasperated.
He would never knock a Lego set over, no matter how angry
no.
he is.
he's mad, but he's not a monster.
Right.
Thorough Unfiction, thanks for the super chat. Enjoy July 4th with Red, White, and Grogu there.
Oh yeah, I haven't updated his outfit yet for July. Apologies. He's still. I mean, Grogu celebrates Pride all year round, so as do we. So
it's a good boy, that Grogu. I have a Grogu now. I'm very.
How
excited.
did he get over there too?
Oh, just one.
I know.
Adam.
I have a 1-bedroom apartment in Jersey City. I can't just fill it up with all the nerd things. I have to like. There's not so much space.
There's a whole blank wall behind you.
I know. Put some shelves up. God.
This is the middle. This is basically the hallway.
Looks like shelf space to me.
Sounds like an excuse.
Demon Lord Illidan, thanks for the super chat. More than anything, Omega needs some kind of partial armor, face and upper body at least. And another super chat from the Demon Lord. The face mask would definitely help her keep a lower profile. Yeah.
Totally
agree.
So that's actually something I was thinking about the other day. Like, what's crazy about Star Wars is that because of Boba Fett, we have an entire franchise that has a subculture that helmets and masks are sort of standard. Mm-hmm. And that is incredibly fascinating. And I don't know any other franchise that has something like, well, like, yeah, it is standard for you to cover your face. Like, you know, we built the Mandalorian is built upon that. That is crazy that like it's just normal to wear a helmet or a mask in an entire galaxy. We just like accept it. I have no deeper immediate thoughts beyond that. So
I do hope she gets a little outfit.
Yeah, I think people have been really hoping that she gets her own armor, and it's like she got a comm unit, and then Cad Bane destroyed that, the jerk. So like they need to get her a new one of those. Yes, I agree that, especially if like hopefully Hunter is over this thing where he's like, I'm not going to sideline you anymore. You probably need some armor. If you want to keep her safe, get her some armor. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know where to do that, but how do you make child armor? But they should find
you
out.
Just make it smaller.
Yeah.
It's small, tiny little babies.
You take regular armor and you put it in the dryer on high heat.
I just thought that's yeah. I was also thinking about like what like Grogu having little tiny baby Mandalorian armor. Have we seen that yet? Has anyone made like tiny little Mandalorian baby armor?
We have a custom made little figure that has him with a little custom suit of armor.
I'll go get it.
It's adorable. Like I got it and I was like, I have to have this now in a show or something because it's like Mando's Beskar armor, I think. With his little ears pop out. Thing.
I showed everyone my shorts, but
oh no.
It's okay.
There he is.
Oh,
it's just a helmet.
Tiny little disruptor rifle.
That's still adorable though.
Big J Customs made that and sent it to us.
Big J Customs.
He's
Come
great.
on down to Big J Customs.
He made our custom Funko Pops too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have so many Funko Pops. And none of them they just show up in my apartment sometimes. I have a Mark Hamill one that just showed up for my friend Ethan. You know, I was like, oh, okay. I have a Mark Hamill. Cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but there you go.
Yeah, I often have them show up when I've pre-ordered them and then I forget that I did that. So, it's great. Fun surprise. The Real Red 5, thanks for your super chat. Sup, Space Cousins and other guy. There it is. Great to see Omega hustle a hustler like Han in Solo. I see a natural it factor in the world of scum and villainy for her. Nice.
I like that. Yeah, she's adapting quite well, I think.
I also like the phrase Han and Solo. Like who? Like hey, I put the Han in Solo.
Yeah, I loved that scene. In our reaction, I was just like, I kept on pointing. I'm like, yeah, Omega, get it. Don't let her push you around. You've got like the most confidence out of the entire Bad Batch. Hunter's just like, oh, I wish you'd stop taking advantage of us. And Omega's like, no, you're giving me 60%. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, she was the one to, when they first showed up there, she was the one to go up to her and be like, you're Sid.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder. I think Sid respects her.
I agree. And I have a fear because like they covered this in this episode that Hunter doesn't trust Sid. And I was even a little bit like, oh, you're just going to leave her with Sid? And Sid said, like, as long as it's financially good for me to keep this secret, then I will. But I wonder if she's going to be presented with the choice to betray Omega or not. And I hope she doesn't, because she seems to, I mean, everyone that meets Omega falls in love with her. So I hope she doesn't, but I think that choice might be coming.
Yeah. I mentioned this too in our reaction today. I keep expecting, if we get to see more of Sid, I keep expecting her to like backstab them somehow or like turn out to be kind of a bad person, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
To cross the streams here and pointing to Alex's shirt, like, what if Omega's the Ted Lasso of this series?
Yeah, she just makes everyone feel good.
I would not be okay. I mean, I would be okay with that. I think that I would not be opposed to seeing like Omega being this sort of not a character with a flat arc that makes everyone around her better. That would be a really interesting choice, and I would be 100% behind that. That's her superpower.
Which I do like. Della Common, thank you for the super chat. April Fool's 2022. Alex and Molly do a stream where they scream at us about our questions in pure internet Star Wars fashion.
We've thought about it.
That would be fun. I mean, we're just like angrily being positive. Like we're just answering your questions, but as loud and angry as possible.
We would do it. We would record it on our phone from the car.
Right. You have to be in a car with sunglasses
and hat on.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, we're driving down to Atlanta. We've got some things to say. Kevin Scott, you're a really good writer. How dare you?
I do think I would yell at Kevin, but yeah, he deserves to be yelled at. But for the best reasons.
Oh yeah, no, it is really exciting to like be surprised by Star Wars, and I think that's the biggest thing that I'm. You know, if I were to compare like the things that's going on in canon, like I think the stuff that I really get excited about with like the High Republic is that, and I was ranting about this to my girlfriend last night, and ranting very quietly talking about it, how I really enjoy the High Republic because it feels both familiar and new, and it's expanding the universe. Like every time I get a new book in that series, I'm like, oh, this feels new. This feels familiar. These are the Jedis that I sort of recognize. This is a universe I recognize, but it's a new corner of it. It feels bigger and feels bigger and feels bigger and feels bigger. Mm-hmm. Like this is little throwaway lines. And I think you mentioned this in your review, Alex, about like how like Kevin's very good at sort of stuff that connects, like, you know, no one's ever really gone, things like that. But there's also these connections of like this one line that you're like, there's like a thing that they have in the archives that he was looking at. Like, what does that mean? And there was some stuff in the first book about like how they talk about how the Jedi rose and fall. There was only a few at some time. Like it made the galaxy feel bigger. It makes the galaxy feel bigger. And in in relation to all the other stories, because you see this new aspect of it, it makes the universe feel bigger. It feels more, you get a better sense of eras. And I guess that's something that I'm wanting to see from Bad Batch, and sort of where my criticism of cameos come from, is that it feels a little sort of narrow and isolated, in that, like, yeah, it is kind of like Clone Wars Season 8, which in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. But what I love about Star Wars is that there are so many directions that you can go. There's so many different stories that you can tell. There's so many different, like, you know, the Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales from Mos Eisley. Those are the books that, like, I grew up reading, because, like, there's to the Tiki behind you, like, I want to hear about Max Rebo. I want to hear about these characters. The universe is so large that you can have a story about a, you know, musician at Jabba's palace. And what I'm getting out of the High Republic, and we've talked about this offline, but here we are talking in person. What I really enjoy about the High Republic is that it feels like I'm learning more about the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And while there are elements of, like, seeing this transition period in the Bad Batch, while we're seeing the Republic become the Empire, what I'm missing is that newness. Like, yeah, it's cool to see Cad Bane, but I kind of wish that Cad Bane came in season 2, or that was the finale of this season, because I really want to see these new avenues within this canon that we already know. Well, we're not exactly seeing that yet. We're seeing elements of it, and sort of broad strokes, we do see it throughout the season. But I kind of wish that we, got to know these characters better. Like, I really want to spend time learning more about the Bad Batch themselves, because they are new characters. But also, I just wish that there was more of that. Like, we know what happened in the Clone Wars. We know what happened in Solo. We know what happened after Revenge of the Sith. Like, let's now, like, just go off to the Outer Rim where you've never been before, and just spend time there, seeing how all the stuff that we know affects all the stuff that we have never seen before. And I kind of wish that was a little bit more on this season. Whereas, like, they are doing it in the High Republic, they're doing it in other aspects of it. And also, they didn't like The Last Jedi and some of the earlier parts of the sequel trilogy, that they you get to see how the galaxy reacts to things that we know, but we have never really seen before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also usually someone who doesn't want Star Wars to be too narrow, like you say, but I think the High Republic is doing such a good job at being like the new stuff that I want, that, like, the Bad Batch I haven't thought twice about anything that they've done. I've been like, great, Cad Bane's back, love it. And I think it's probably going to be like, I'm getting my thing that is brand new. And so, like, that has satisfied me.
You've also had the benefit of reading the books before most of us. So, like, I was thinking about that when I was reading Rising the Storm these last couple of days. I'm like, yeah, I can see, you know, it's weird that I'm thinking about you when I'm reading a book, Alex, and I'm like, oh, well, like, I'm thinking about my friends. But, like, I was thinking about, like, how that comment where, like, because I have this new thing over here, it sort of counteracts that sort of sense of familiarity. English is hard. The sort of, like, familiar stuff that we see in the Bad Batch, and so it does balance out in broad strokes. But I do kind of wish that I was seeing just a little bit more, like we did with The Mandalorian. Like, we had an entire season to just know these characters.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to keep this going, because Aimless Dreamer, thank you for sending in 2 very generous super chats. One said, I cry a little every time I see the regs in the series, and I do think it's very sad. But also, Adam nailed on the head why I love Star Wars, but deeply dislike seeing Luke anywhere outside of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
I mean, I was someone that didn't want Luke to be in The Mandalorian, but the second he showed up, I was like,
oh my God, yeah.
Like, I loved it.
Yeah. So I was really glad I watched these things at like 7:00 in the morning, or like however early I get up. And I was really glad my girlfriend wasn't home from work during that period of time, because I was shaking. Like, I was literally like like sitting there like a little child, like, oh my God, Luke is here, Luke is here, Luke is here. Even though like narratively it's a little easy, little bit of a cheat, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 5 years old. I'm so glad I'm alone because I don't want anyone to see me like this. But yeah, no, it's a valid criticism because it's just like, the moment Luke shows up, he takes over the narrative. He takes over the story, for better or for worse. It's like, that was the best decision they made in The Force Awakens, was saving Luke to the very end, because the moment he shows up, the story becomes about him. And, The Last Jedi, like, no matter what your feelings on that film is, the moment it is a Luke Skywalker story, because he shows up, it has to be about him in at least a good percentage of the film.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely someone that looks forward to the expansion. Yeah. I'm on board with what The Mandalorian is doing. I think it's going to be kind of a hybrid of its own thing.
Yeah.
Along with plenty of cameos and familiar stuff, but like knowing that we're getting something like the Acolyte, which is like, it's literally impossible for that to happen. Like as long as they are doing stuff that is continuing to expand, then I say like, do whatever you want. Like the familiar stuff is also great, just as long as there's a variety.
I'll never forget that watching that episode for the first time, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Luke makes sense. And I was watching, and I was like, this is cool. Yeah, I'm digging this. But when R2 showed up, I was like, ah!
Same thing with Cad Bane. We talked about
I wasn't expecting him to be there. Just like, do you imagine him like following Luke in the wreckage of all the dark troopers? Like, oh my
God,
I got it. Yeah.
What
and then he shows up and he has a moment with Grogu, and I was like, this is blowing my mind right now.
Because and I think that's the thing. It's like that is a series season finale of like it is like what, like a 7-hour movie essentially with The Mandalorian, that he's like, okay, like it felt earned in that moment, and it felt like, oh man, like here's these characters that I've come to love, meeting these other characters that I've loved since I was a child. And I think that is a sense I'm missing right now with The Bad Batch. It's like, I like these characters. I like them better than I did when they were first introduced. But every time they meet someone that like Rex or, whomever that we've already met, it's missing that sort of sense of like, oh my God, here are two characters I love that are meeting. It does feel like, oh, here's that character I love meeting these characters that I kind of like, that's the disparity, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I do want to address, just to talk about the regs for a bit, because Aimless sent in two super chats. But yeah, we already addressed the fact that the Bad Batch are treating them with more care and they're stunning them instead of killing them. But yeah, it's like, it's really rough seeing still clone troopers. Like, I kind of hope that they get to a full-on stormtrooper army soon, because it is like every reg you see, you're like, well, that's just a tragedy. Like, they're in pain. They can't control themselves. It sucks.
Yeah.
I will say, so Marissa, ¿qué es su problema? There's a problem in Spanish going on. And I am half Hispanic, so my español es muy mal. Pero, ¿qué es su problema?
Sí.
I understood a little bit of that. My Spanish is even more bad. Más malo?
Muy mala. Muy mal. Muy mal. No, my dad's Puerto Rican, so I should know Spanish like it's the back of my hand. My girlfriend, who is not Hispanic at all, knows better Spanish than I do, so I'll put it that way.
Demon Lord Illidan, thanks for the next question in Super Chat. Where does Omega get her armor? I'm sure Nala Say could get something made to protect her little friend.
Oh. Where could she get armor? I mean,
I figure cool. It would be scavenged.
Yeah, it'd be cool if she did get something designed around the design of her like little headpiece thing, because I liked that, but I understand why she got rid of it, because it's like, get rid of the past, you know. I don't know. I think she would want like Bad Batch armor, like paint it gray, you know, paint some cool stuff on it to make it her own. Paint some Mantel mix on there. I don't know.
I like the idea of them playing a song, like a version of Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, but it's painted gray.
Speaking of the Mantel mix, Echo had a nice little moment where he smelled it, and
I was like, is Echo too good for Mantel mix? Like,
not anymore. He probably was like, all right, I can get on board with this.
And that's from that. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. That is from Galaxy's Edge, right? That's like the popcorn.
They call it Outpost mix there, but yes.
I still have a little bit left.
It's so good.
I'm hoarding it,
and we like don't want it to go away.
It is just, it's sugar covered popcorn. For me, that's it's funny thing is like I always think of that as Puerto Rican popcorn because that's what I had when I went to Puerto Rico. So it's not, but that's what I associated with it. But it's
it's kind of like caramel popcorn, but instead of caramel, it's like it tastes like the Crunch Berry cereal.
Yes, it does.
It's very good.
Oops, all berries. Yeah.
Oops, all berries. Exactly.
Mitchell989, thank you for the last super chat. I doubt it, but I'd love to see GS8 join the team. She grew fantastically during the episode. Could Omega be the new tactical planner of the batch?
I keep saying that they already have Gonki, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep saying that they need like another droid, I feel like. Although maybe that would take away from Echo and Tech as a whole. But go back and rescue Clank and adopt him, or GS8. Yeah, she's going to go on to do great things, I'm sure.
I wonder if we're going to see these characters again. If they're in the next episode, they just go off somewhere else, or maybe they're going to hide out with Sid. Or I think it would be interesting because we didn't really get it in this episode, but I'd love to see Echo interact with them more, because he needs a chance to see that not every Separatist is like Wat Tambor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see them again. Like that was one thing that I really loved about Clone Wars, was that you'd have characters sort of like come in and out of the series, and that's sort of what I'm hoping for. Same thing with Mandalorian. I do want to see Cobb Vanth come back. I do want to see all these sort of like characters that we meet along the way. That was actually the most satisfying thing of like, you know, seeing the characters that we met along the way, like coming back and helping them at the end.
Yeah. So. I mean, that's basically the format of Rebels and Resistance to a degree as well.
Yeah. I need to rewatch Rebels. I know a lot of people love that series, and for me, it's like when Ahsoka shows up, I'm like, yeah, and then everything else, I'm just like, it's fine. I
do think Ahsoka's episodes are the best.
Yeah,
I'm excited to rewatch it whenever we get to that point. We're almost done with Clone Wars, and then
we still have Rebels. Like 2.5 seasons.
Well,
we still got a ways to go, and we keep getting sidelined by the new
shows.
Stuff. So.
Yeah.
One day.
We'll get there.
I believe in you.
Could Omega be the new tactical planner of the batch? I wouldn't put it past Hunter to promote her to that position.
Yeah, let's test that theory as far as how good she is with strategies.
That's one of those things that I wouldn't mind, like a time jump, like seeing like if like a year or two passes and seeing Omega be, you know, slightly older and being a more central part of the team. I think that would be really something I'd be down with. Like, you know, not like necessarily the season, but like I wouldn't mind if like season 2 is like a year later or 2 years later, and just
right
because I think that'll help underline her journey a bit more.
I mean, it sounds like she doesn't have any age enhancement, but I was kind of hoping that she did early on in the season, because I thought it would have been cool to be like, all right, she's going to age up twice as fast as Ezra does. Yeah. So there's going to be like a new model for her every season. I thought that would have been cool to explore, but
yeah. Apparently, someone is advocating for Margot Robbie being Omega. I mean, why not? I don't know. I wouldn't mind maybe Margot Robbie for Avar Chris. That might work. That'd be an interesting choice. But
how old is she supposed to be? Another sidetrack, but Avar
Omega?
Chris. No,
Avar Chris. I would guess her like 35. 40.
Yeah, that's sort of the sense I got from the three of them, like with Stellan Gios and Elzar Man, and yeah, I would say mid-30s. Mostly because I assume everyone's in their mid-30s, and then I realize they're a lot older, so, or younger.
Doomslayer. We might be running out of time this season, but it's an animated show. Like, yeah, I think it will happen. It never happened to Resistance, but I think that's because it got cut short. So
yeah,
like Hondo feels like just a no-brainer to me to appear in this series, and we don't even know if it's going to go multiple seasons. I think it will, but
I wouldn't be surprised, like especially with streaming, unless like you're doing a Marvel show. Like most series are doing like 2 seasons at a time because they want people to be invested in this journey. They want people to be like, all right, like if I'm gonna start watching this, I'm gonna get the full story. Like unless it's like a limited series like Queen's Gambit or what have you. For the most part, that's why like whenever you hear like a Netflix show, like it's been renewed for season 2, it's been renewed for season 2 since the beginning. So It's one of those. So I wouldn't be surprised if like you hear that they're probably already in production of Bad Batch, like season 2 for
I'm surprised they haven't announced it yet, I guess.
They're probably waiting for like the season finale, because I'm pretty sure the season finale is going to have something crazy dramatic in it. So
sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm spilling a little bit of tea there. Sorry about that. So it's,
I mean, it's accurate.
Yeah,
it's one of those like the way the animation is done, and they've talked about this for like Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars, where like they were producing these episodes years out. So if there's going to be season 2, they're working on it now.
Yeah, and something to remember for most folks, like about any controversy that might be happening right now with any certain ship. I'm not naming names, but if you think they're gonna, if it's named in that new show that's coming out, they shot it months ago. They don't care about what you just said on Twitter. So,
right. But also, it just nope. I'm not going to get back.
No,
it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Nope, it's so dumb. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Look at Grogu. Look at Grogu.
He's soothing me. Demon Lord sent in another super chat. Thanks. I was actually asking, where do the Bad Batch get their armor? I'm sure it was designed and issued by the Kaminoans. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because like Wrecker needs big boy armor.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if, because obviously they're used to making, pretty standard armor and then giving it out to clones who would then adapt it to what they needed. So it might be a mix of that. Like Wrecker, he needs a custom set, but Tech may have just altered his armor. But it wouldn't surprise me to hear that the Kaminoans just gave it to them.
Yeah. I think Tech is savvy enough to alter their helmets in ways that they would want them altered. And I really like Echo's helmet setup with his like headpiece thing fitting inside.
And the way the helmet like separates so that he can get it on and off is very cool.
And I like that they showed that in an episode, like how he takes the helmet on and off. They like took the time to animate that, and I was like, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. For the cosplayers out there especially. I'm sure they would like to know.
All right, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. So we are going to wrap it up soon, but the Real Red 5 sent in another super chat. Thank you. Also with the Bad Batch saving the hunter from Jumanji. I can see Andor starting his fight at 6. Did they just show the Confederacy of Independent Systems become rebels? I think to a degree. I mean, that's kind of why I think this episode, while it wasn't my favorite of the bunch, I still think it was important to show the Bad Batch come around to separatist ideals in some ways, right? Because those are also rebel ideals in some ways. And Cassian was a member of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, or his planet was. So yeah, I do think that was kind of what that was hinting at.
And I think that's something like that I always liked about the prequels was the idea that like the Separatists are the bad guys, but they're basically just rebels. Like that inversion of what your expectations was disconcerting when I first saw the prequels. But I think that's like the point, the one man's insurgent is another man's freedom fighter.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that the Clone Wars was able to take the time to do. Right. In Revenge of the Sith, you just get it in the crawl. I wish they explored it more, but they said like evil is everywhere. There are heroes and villains on both sides.
Yep,
that's such a great idea. I wish that the movie got to explore it more, but there's just too much to do in Episode 3. So they do it in the Clone Wars with Ahsoka going to Raxus and stuff. But yeah, like not every Separatist is a bad person. They have legitimate concerns and reasons for wanting to leave.
And that's a lot of what Clone Wars is about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a good series.
It's great. Star Wars is great. I'm a fan.
Star Wars is so much fun. I like Star Wars. Like, and that's the thing is like, I think one thing that like to say why I love you guys so much is that you're able to be critical of Star Wars in a very, very healthy way. It's like, it's fun. It's silly. And, there's stuff we like, stuff we don't like, but at the end of the day, it's fun. It's Star Wars. Isn't that cool? There's so much Star Wars to talk about.
There's so much to enjoy that, not everything's going to land with you, but the stuff that does, it's so good. It's
Oh yeah.
It reminds me every time I go to the dentist, they remember what I do. They're like, "Oh yeah, you do the thing on the internet. You talk about Star Wars. What new Star Wars stuff is there?" And I'm like, "Oh
boy, buckle up."
They're like,
and then you have tools in your mouth, but you're still talking.
Yeah. It's so funny to talk to people who like aren't not tapped into what's going on in Star Wars at all. They're just like, so you talk about like the old movies, just like a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah.
We just talk every day about the original trilogy.
Yeah. That's one of those things when like just talking to normies about Star Wars, like, yeah, no, it's
honey.
Oh, honey.
They're like, yes, there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, and like, what does it take place? Like, they don't ask when it takes place. They don't care about that. Like, oh, there's a new Star Wars, cool, and that's it.
Or
That's
Han and
all I know.
Leia in it?
Yeah, exactly. Now they're just like, is Baby Yoda in it? And they're like, yeah, his name is. Doesn't matter.
He should be in every Star Wars movie going forward.
Well, that seems like a good place to wrap up. A little celebration about Star Wars. So, Adam, where can people find you and follow you online?
You can follow me online on Twitter at Adamlance Garcia because I'm very unoriginal with names. So at Adamlance Garcia. You can also find me on Instagram at Adamlance Garcia. There's also a Facebook, Adamlance Garcia. You can also check out some of my day job stuff at and the horns are outside letting me know that it's very exciting. At Vanity Fair, I have a lot of videos coming out, as Alex mentioned. I did a really cool video, 2 videos with them for Wired. You can check those in, just type in Star Wars Explained Wired. And yeah, there's a few other places. And if you're interested in any of the stupid things I said about storytelling, just type in Adamlance Garcia on Amazon. You can see some of my novels and short stories. There's some cool stuff that's coming out that the contracts aren't signed yet, so I cannot talk about them just yet. But there's a radio drama coming out from Radio Room later this year, and yeah, just type in Adamlance Garcia. I'll show up. I'm sorry.
Shoot, I just had something I wanted to say, and it slipped out of my mind. I was gonna say that also watch the Tolkien Professor. His 2 videos. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I was enthralled by those. He was so fun to listen to. And even my like diehard, our friend Ashton is very knowledgeable about Tolkien. And he was like, I love this dude. So those videos are really fun.
I'll tell you a quick story about those. Like, what's funny is like those were shot on his computer, and like we were having this whole discussion at Condé Nast, which is where I work, about like quality of video, etc. I'm like guys, these videos got 1 million freaking views, and a guy was shot on a guy's computer. It doesn't matter as long as the content is good. So that is one of my best. Yeah, Tolkien Professor, if you're watching, you're a good guy. I like you.
Great guy. We
Come
want
on the show when that new Lord of the Rings show comes
when the
out.
Lord of the Rings show comes out,
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to get him on it, explain it to me. It's like I think I know about Lord of the Rings, and then I hear like people like him or Ashton talk about it, and I'm like, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Thank you all for hanging out and watching and discussing the Bad Batch with us. I'm gonna leave us all with this one more time. Thanks, Drace, for throwing that together. A wonderful image.
Love it.
We will be back next week to talk about episode 11, and we'll have a Lego stream next week as well as usual. But
You're covering him up.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to move him.
I wouldn't want to look at me
Boom.
either. So
There.
Yay!
there. I don't care. So thank you all for hanging out and watching, and may the Force be with you.
that was